The World Health Organization has defined health as not just the absence of disease. It is the complete mental, physical, social, psychological, emotional, and the spiritual well-being of the individual. I'll say it again so that you get it. WHO, the World Health Organization, has defined health as not just the absence of the disease. Means that not because you don't have diabetes or high blood pressure or some other chronic illness that you're healthy. It is the complete mental, physical, social, psychological, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the individual. That is extremely important to understand and appreciate if we are going to gather anything from our discussion. And what Tanya just shared with you should put it in perspective. On the 30th of August at about 6:30 p.m. this year, or two and a half months ago, I was sitting in my office Friday evening getting ready to go do my radio program on ZBVI, and the phone rang. And it was my nephew-in-law calling from the UK. And I looked at the phone and I looked at my watch. I looked at the phone, I looked at my watch, and I said, nah, this ain't a good call because it's already 11 o'clock in London. I took up the phone and I answered and I said, Kelly. He started to cry. I said, Kelly. He said, Zeke. Uncle Zeke collapsed. And he said, the ambulance coming, I can call you back. And that was the story. My brother dropped dead at the age of 62 in London without a warning, just dropped dead. And if you reflect on what Tanya was just saying to us, it should tell us one thing and one thing more than anything else, that life is a gift. It is a gift. It ain't something to fool around with. When somebody give you a gift, it is something that you cherish. It is something that you... By the way, Rose, you know that when we were growing up, in the olden homes, maybe the younger people don't know, they used to have something called a safe. Yes, a safe. And they used to put all their little treasured things there. They keep a nice clean cup that if somebody stopped by, they give them a glass of water. Those of us in the house couldn't use it because it was a precious commodity and it was treasured. If you understand that, the point is that if you understand your health, you will understand that it is a gift. So I am 66 years old. I exercise 6 days a week. I exercise because I understand the importance of it. I understand the implications of it, and I have a young wife. She's blushing. So I was somewhere giving a talk and I said that I'm a happily married man. And by the way, I hope my wife agrees. I hope she don't say otherwise, you know. But I'm a happily married man, and it means that marriage can work. We're here to talk a little bit this evening about women's health after the age of 40. And by the way, my wife is 61. And by the way, 43 years old is a young age.
Say it, baby.
Young girl. Okay? Very young girl. I want you to hear these terminologies. Perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause. Everything is men. So a woman's biggest problem is a man. A woman's biggest problem is a man. Men. You understand? So, something I saved on the phone I wanted to read. Okay. Can't find it. There was an article in the Washington Post this week speaking about perimenopausal women and how important it is, a subject that has evolved recently, and women are no longer sitting back and taking it for granted that this is a phase of life you just accept and you grow old quickly. Let's put that in perspective. The field of medicine that I practice, obstetrics and gynecology, was previously dominated by men. And as a result, what the studies have shown is that men, as they themselves get older, their wives get older, they easily dismiss their wives' complaints and all these issues surrounding the so-called change of life. What has happened now is that the field of obstetrics and gynecology is dominated by women. There are more female OBGYNs nowadays than there are men. And in medical school, I think it's like 25% of men, 75% women that are actually practicing in the field of obstetrics and gynecology. So the women who are dominating the field now, and they themselves are into their 40s and 50s and start experiencing these problems, are demanding answers. Just like all of you are here this evening, you are here because you are demanding answers for what is happening to your body. It is your body. You want to know what is happening to it. It doesn't matter what my mother went through or my grandmother went through. I want to know what is happening to my body. So as your economics change, as your economic situation change, then your whole concept of life changes. So when I was growing up, we didn't have no gym to go to. Gym was a fancy term. Now you hear Tanya talking about going to the gym. You know, I mean, we had to do hard work and keep going to pasture and chasing cow and all that. But now we go to the gym and we have a trainer and we do abs and we do all these fancy things. We have a personal this and a personal that because our economics have changed. Our economics have changed, therefore we are now more into understanding the wider concepts of what health really means. Listen to this carefully. All of you women, if you don't take home anything this evening, take home this with you. A woman's life begins at age 40. You know why? I bet you some of you don't know why they say a woman's life begins at 40. A woman's sex life peaks at about age 45. Okay? All of the studies that have been done shows that a woman's sex life peaks in her mid-40s. A man's sex life peaks at about age 27 and he's forever on the decline. So somewhere in their mid-40s, men and women are around the same in terms of their sex drive and sexual performance, etc., etc. The problem is that as we get into our 40s and into our 50s, we start experiencing various forms of chronic illnesses, diabetes, high blood pressure, all the other things related to prostate in a man and related to the uterus and ovaries in a woman. Men are less likely to go to the doctor and get themselves checked, so invariably their problems are more profound and pronounced by the time they see a doctor. Women are more likely to pay attention to their health, and that's what Tanya was just saying. She's in her 40s, but she goes to the gym regularly, and if it wasn't for the fact that she'd been exercising regularly, the outcome for her aneurysm might have been worse. So the terminology, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Menopause, the definition of menopause is the cessation of your menstrual period. That's what menopause is defined as. And we only say that you've entered the menopause when you have ceased to have a menstrual period for a minimum of 6 months. The problem that most women face is that perimenopausal area in your life. When you enter into your 40s and beyond, because that period of your life can last anywhere from 2 to 12 years. In our situation, certainly in people who live in the tropics, and because black people predominantly live in the tropics, most women, their menopausal years are mid-50s, and some people even go up to 60. So some women are having their full periods right into their mid-50s. Has a lot to do with vitamin D metabolism and the sunlight and calcium and all that stuff. But The changes that your body start to undergo into your 40s and beyond are very real. And that's where the problem starts. Perimenopause in some books is defined as reverse puberty. Y'all didn't get that? Hello, ladies over there, did you get that? Perimenopause is defined as reversed puberty. Now let me explain that. Puberty is that stage of your life somewhere between 9 and 14. If you have a young daughter now, you can appreciate that even if you didn't appreciate it when you were growing up. That's the stage of your life when you start putting on a little hip, your breasts start to get big, you get hair under your arm, hair on your genitals, and then somewhere between, say, 10 and 12, most young girls have what is called menarche. Menarche is the definition of the onset of your menstrual period. So most men again. So most mothers would say, my daughter became a woman last week, usually meaning that she started having a menstrual period. Now the changes that your body undergo between say 9 and 14 into your teenage years, those changes are very, very real. You can't do a thing about it. It's a physiological change that you undergo, both male and female. And it is hormone dependent. I want you all to get that because you're going to have a test afterwards. Okay? Puberty is hormone dependent. So when your breasts start to get big, you put on a little hip, you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you're hiding yourself when your mother come in the room and what have you. It is the hormonal changes. You start thinking about boys and girls and what have you and all the other things. It's hormonal changes. And there's a gradual change from about 9 into our teenage years. It's called adolescence. I like to tell this story whenever I'm giving these talks. My son is now 28, and I remember the morning when my son, he was upstairs, I was downstairs, he said, "Good morning, Daddy." I was like, that was my son that went to sleep last night. His voice literally changed overnight. Literally changed overnight, and that's the hormonal changes. And just like how a young girl has a period at whatever time, it's called menarche, it's physiological. You can't do anything about it. How you are educated about it. Now listen to that. How you are educated about it is how you will then adapt to it into your teenage years and beyond. So the young girl who has a good relationship with her mother or her grandmother or her auntie, who will prepare her for this and make sure she goes to school with a pad in her bag and she doesn't get caught without anything and she starts bleeding, she got to run to the teacher, go hide. That little girl is going to suffer tremendously throughout her life because she wasn't prepared. As opposed to the little girl who mommy teaches her daily what to expect, what to look for. And the minute it happens, she can call mommy or she can run go to the teacher. Her whole experience is going to be a completely different from the other girl who didn't have that trait. Now, why am I saying that? I just said to you that perimenopausal is reverse puberty. So if you understand that, you will take your take-home lesson would have been well learned. So when you get into your 40s and into your 50s, your body starts to undergo the reversal of those changes. The hormones are called estrogens and progesterone. Those are the hormones that a female produces, a man produces testosterone. So I tell my patients, a woman have 2 ovaries, a man have 2 balls. The easiest way to remember it. A man have 2 balls, a woman have 2 ovaries. They're similar, almost similar in size in terms of the whole physiological behavior. They're similar. It's just that the hormones you produce are different. And so when you get into your perimenopausal years, your hormones start changing. And that is primarily responsible for all the evils you face in life. That is it. It ain't nothing to do with your husband, ain't nothing to do with your children, ain't nothing to do with your job. It ain't nothing to do with anybody. Just like how nobody has any say in puberty and how your body gonna go those changes, nobody has a say in how your body undergo those changes into your peri and menopausal years. So here's my lesson that I tell to every single woman that I have this encounter with, whether I do it privately in my office or publicly in one of these lectures. The most important thing that you could learn in your perimenopausal years is to adapt to the changes. Don't fight it. The single most important lesson, I go to great pains to explain that. Do not fight it. Don't try to fit into clothes like a teenager. Don't try to be going party like children and want to be hanging out with the young people. Look, look. I just told the girls sitting over there. I tell all of my patients, gray hair is a sign of sexual maturity. Y'all didn't get it. Y'all didn't get it. If I was in church, say, and the rest of them I would say, you know, see, gray hair is a sign of sexual maturity because your best sex that you will experience is into your mature years. You ain't got no children to worry about, you ain't got no period to worry about. You have a little money, you could go on vacation and go hang out and have fun. You're freer in mind, body, and spirit. What I just said about the definition of the World Health Organization is the total person that makes the difference. So the perimenopausal years are dominated by your hormones and the hormonal changes that your body undergo. You can't do nothing about that. And how those hormones degenerate and decrease is just simply how the manifestations are going to take place. So when you start experiencing irregularities in your menstrual flow, when you start experiencing 2 weeks, 2 months and you don't get your period, when you start having heavy flow as opposed to scanty flow, all of those are related to your hormones. But the biggest part about the hormonal changes are the emotional changes that you undergo. Those are very, very real because estrogen is the hormones that control all of that. And estrogen is the predominant hormone that starts to decrease when you get into your perimenopausal years. Menopause means that your period stop, means that your ovaries stop producing estrogens. You understand that? You would have learned everything you need to learn this evening. And then post-menopause just simply means that you're no longer having periods and whatever else that goes along with it. But you can navigate this entire period of your life if you understand. Perimenopausal is reverse puberty. All right? Menopause, hot flushes, estrogen deprivation, post-menopause, hormone replacement therapy, and everything else that goes along with it. But everything else basically depends on your own approach to life. Like our guest speaker is saying earlier, it's that whole concept of balance. How you balance your life. So the ladies that you know, every one of you who are here this evening should give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause because it shows that you are willing to learn. You want to understand. You want to become familiar with what is taking place at this stage of your life. And therefore, you're going to seek out knowledge wherever that knowledge is so that you can make life better. Because after all, if you have a little money, you want experiences. If you are quote unquote successful in life, you want to go places where rich people go. You want to come to nice places like this. You want to hang out in the restaurants on Virgin Gorda and fly here and fly there. But you also want to know and do it in the context of feeling good about yourself. And feeling good about yourself invariably starts with understanding where you are in life and how you should adapt to it. And I could talk about this subject all night because it's what I do for a daily living, but I will shut up now. I think I've shared a few nuggets with you. I'll answer any questions that you might have at this stage. And thank you.
Let me help you. Get a mic. All right.
Hey, I see what my wife here doing.
Women who are postmenopausal,
Do we have to worry about getting pregnant?
That's a good question. The answer is no unless you do in vitro fertilization.
Oh.
No, I mean, stranger things have happened, you know. But postmenopause means that you no longer have a menstrual cycle. If you no longer have a menstrual cycle, it means that the hormones that are responsible for you producing eggs have long stopped functioning. And once your ovaries stop producing eggs, then there's no way you're going to get pregnant. As a matter of fact, if you're interested in knowing, for women who have delayed childbearing and get to the age in their 40s and are planning to have children, and then your doctor tells you your best option is to do in vitro fertilization. When you go to see the reproductive endocrinologist, they check your age. Nowadays, they don't allow you to use your own eggs if you're over age 42, because the studies have shown that the quality of the eggs are not as good and the risk of genetic and chromosomal abnormalities is very high. So they will recommend donor eggs. So that feeds into the question that you're asking. If your period has stopped, have as much sex as you won't get pregnant.
One last question. What do you tell women who are postmenopausal who still like to begin at 40? For women? For women, that's what you said. What do you say to a woman who's postmenopausal but lost that urge, that
To have
sexual drive? What do you do? Take honey.
And that's an excellent question, because the answer to it is that it's multifactorial. And the most important thing is certainly to have a talk with your doctor and get checked up, because one of the commonest reasons why women in their postmenopause just stop having sex is because it is painful and uncomfortable. There are very few instances where if the environment is right, that you won't be able to have the desire to have sex. But nothing turns off a woman more than painful intercourse. It's called dyspareunia. That's the medical term. And the reason why postmenopausal women in particular get that condition is because the vagina is dry. And the dryness of the vagina is directly related to the production of estrogens. And that's an easy problem to treat. We could take care of that without any major issues.
So I just want to know, just one second. But I'm wondering, so they're not helping us? Okra water?
okra water.
Y'all have been online, stop playing. Online, they telling the girlies that if you mix okra, whatever you want to call it, with water, and it gets slimy, warm to this mic, and it gets slimy, you could drink it. And it helps your, your wetness.
You drink it, you said?
That's what it says. Yeah.
Well, I don't think okra water going to hurt you by drinking it, so you could
Just try it.
Just try it.
I drink okra water.
I don't know of any scientific evidence that it works, but if it works, it works.
Oh, I'm here for that.
I have a question. How safe is hormone therapy? Because I've heard and read and seen things like hormone therapy related to certain types of cancers and that sort of stuff. How safe is it?
Nothing is more topical in the field of obstetrics and gynecology, and probably in medicine in general, than the issue of hormonal replacement therapy. It's one of the most controversial subjects in the field of medicine right now. And the most important thing is to be informed. Two things are important. If you have your uterus and you're going to use hormonal replacement therapy, it is important to understand that you have to use a combination therapy, which means you're going to have a monthly period, which is what turns out most women, because I passed that, I don't want a period every month, so I ain't taking no medication. If you've had a hysterectomy, had your womb taken out, then you won't have that, so hormone replacement therapy is relatively safe in that condition. However, if you have a family history of breast cancer, it is not advised that you should take hormone therapy. Nowadays, the recommendation is that you try the non-pharmacological means that are available, meaning try the natural remedies, the plant-based remedies, primrose oil and black pohash or whatever. Try those. If those don't work, see a doctor, have a discussion, because I tell my patients, there is no reason to suffer in silence. We have medication to help you through this difficult time. If you're having difficulties during the postmenopausal years with hot flushes and dryness and mood swings and everything else, we have medication. There's no need to suffer, but have an informed discussion with your doctor first and foremost. Yeah, it's called andropause. Men go through the same set of issues, not as pronounced as the women, because as you get older, there's a decrease in testosterone production. The most important thing for a man is his overall health. Okay. In medical school, they teach you if you live up to 90% of all men at age 90 will have prostate problems. Men are going to have prostate problems at some point in their lives. The most important thing is to have those regular annual checkups that you can deal with the issues as they arise and don't wait until they become chronic, because prostate cancer is one of the commonest causes of death in black males from cancer, period, and it's because we don't do what is necessary. But the most important thing for a man is his overall health, and that is where exercise comes in. Exercise is really the key. Exercise increases blood flow. Note well, women, listen carefully. Exercise increases blood flow. A man cannot get an erection except blood is flowing to his penis. And blood flow is dominated by the status of your blood vessels. And anything that affects blood vessels, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, sickle cell disease, cholesterol, will cause a decrease in blood flow to all parts of your body, but especially to your genital organs. And that usually leads to what is referred to as sexual dysfunction. Okay? Sexual dysfunction is a real problem that men don't pay much attention to. And it's the reason why Viagra is one of the largest selling drugs of all time, because it increases blood flow to the vital organs. But the key for a man is really his overall health, and exercise is why. That's why I exercise 6 days a week.
Well, I exercise every day.
You're in good shape, don't worry. No.
Do I look like
You're in good shape.
I'm in good shape?
I know that. I could see that.
You know that.
You're in good shape.
Just want to make sure. All right, thanks.
Did you get that? You did. She said, Miss Rose, who is 79 years old. 79, Miss Rose?
Yeah.
She said it's not all about sex. You could romance.
20 years gone.
You and your husband been together for how long?
He did.
I said he is dead 20 years.
Oh, your
But I'm
husband.
saying
Yes.
you could have a romance. It doesn't always have to be sex.
Okay.
The problem.
No, I'm about to answer the question. No, I'm about to answer the question. And the point that she's making is an extremely important point, because the problem is that sex is more often confused for intimacy. And what she's talking about is intimacy. And intimacy doesn't have to be, in fact, sex is the end product of intimacy. The end product. Sex is not intimacy, it is just the byproduct of. So intimacy, social intercourse is just as important as sexual intercourse. And you would have heard the saying, I appreciate you making love to my mind just as much as you're making love to my body. And you see, because if you have social intercourse, social intimacy, the body responds likewise, and that is what is important.
Yes. Okay, Miss Rose.